Think about what it is that you want right now. That relationship, that car, that job, whatever it is. And know that you don't actually want that thing. You want the emotions that you believe that thing will allow you to feel. My name is Haley Comet, and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology, and today, all things Cancer New Moon, July 17th, 2023, and you. What Heartfelt New Beginning is building for you within the cosmos, and how you can lean into this opportunity to nurture your dreams, to nurture your desires, to nurture your manifestations. And I do mean nurture because this new moon lands in the terrain of Cancer, which has to do with what is private, what is sacred. It has to do with our emotional state, has to do with our physical abode. So with this new moon, yes, it can be an opportune time around planting the seeds of that job that you want, that car that you want, that relationship that you want. But really what I want you to focus on this new moon is how you want to feel. How would it feel to come home after that day at your dream job? How would it feel to truly feel safe within your lover's arms? How would it feel to cruise with your Ferrari down the PCH? How would it feel? Because all of those desires that come up within your mind's eye, that's just your brain trying to assign things that it believes will get you closer to those emotions that you want to feel. That happiness, that joy, that clarity, that true fulfillment energy. That car is simply a manifestation of that freedom that you are attempting to unlock while you drive down the PCH. That relationship is an attempt to truly feel safe, to truly feel love, those emotions tied to that connection. That job is a tie to your desire to want to feel fulfilled, to want to feel valued as it relates to work. And oftentimes you've probably felt this with certain things that you used to want, and then you get there, things never feel exactly as you thought that they would. Because the thing about the human nature is that we are constantly in this search for desiring, for searching, for wanting, right? It's human nature that we set goals and we strive to accomplish them, to do more and more, accomplish more and more, get more and more. But alas, that elusive feeling of happiness and joy tends to evade us. And the interesting part of this new moon is that it's about feeling the emotion here and allowing that to magnetize these desires towards you. So the more that you can tap into that energetic of freedom that you want to feel when you're cruising down the Ferrari on the PCH, the more that you can support during this new moon that feeling of freedom, the more that you're magnetizing it closer to you. The more that you focus on the friendships within your life that you do feel that sensation of safety within, the more that you magnetize a relationship that is a harmonizing match with that. The more that you focus upon the attributes of your current job that you do like, or the attributes of your passion project that are really lighting you up, the more you are magnetizing that dream job towards you. And this is so important when it comes to this new moon, because this Cancer new moon opposes Pluto and it trines Neptune. So yes, it is quite magnetic, but it's deeply important that you get out of that obsessive chasing energy. Okay, this is not the new moon to see that Ferrari and be like, I will only feel free when I am driving that Ferrari. Or to think about your crush and be like, I will only feel safe in love unless I have this person. Or to think about the magazine that you want to work for and be like, I will only feel fulfilled if I work for this magazine. Again, that puts you in that loop of obsessiveness, that puts you in that loop of wanting. And the thing is, the vibration of wanting and desiring and the vibration of receiving, those are two different vibrations. And oftentimes, the more that you can embody that emotion now, not being in that energy around, I won't feel like this until I have it, the more that you can cultivate that emotion that you're really trying to get to with the manifestation, whether it is freedom, safety, love, fulfillment, what have you, the more that you can cultivate it and furthermore plant seeds for it during this Cancer new moon, the more that you're magnetizing it your way. You know this as you navigate your daily life. If you have a crush on somebody and they are obsessing over you and chasing you, what do? You're kind of a little bit repelled, right? Our desires are the same way. You can want something so bad, but when you're in that obsessive mind state around it, when you are zeroing in around this is the one and only, this is my only ticket to happiness, this is my only ticket to fulfillment, you are repelling that manifestation away from you. So this new moon is incredibly important to talk about because yes, it is fertile, it is lush. We need to talk about in astrology that Jupiter, the planet of abundance and expansion, exalts in the sign Cancer. Cancer is lush, it is joyful, it is nurturing, right? And so with this new moon, we have this opportunity to plant the seeds of the emotions that we're trying to cultivate and ensuring that it's planted in such fertile ground that even if we get the yellow Ferrari rather than the red one, even if our dream job takes us into a different direction, there is that energy around feeling truly emotionally satiated, truly emotionally satisfied. And I do need to get going because the energy of Cancer, you may know, is associated with the archetype of home. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know this is not mine. This is not my home. I'm currently staying at my friend Cass's apartment in New York City. I'm traveling. Shout out to her and her Taurus rising, which just makes everything so cute. So a different cosmic corner today. And to be totally honest with you, I was not planning on filming this forecast. I woke up this morning with just this really strong pull from spirit, like, no, 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 girl, you are filming today. And I was trying to ignore it, trying to ignore it, trying to ignore it. And when I was making coffee, we ran out of almond milk. So I ran down to the bodega to get more almond milk, thinking about, no, I'm not gonna film today. I'm gonna go explore, I'm gonna go adventure. And it just so happened that while I was down there, I got into a conversation with the individual who works at the bodega. And he was asking me what I did, which is always an interesting question because some people are more open than others. Luckily, he was very open, very curious, asked me a lot of questions. So I asked him, I was like, what's your birthday? What's your sign? He said, my sign is Cancer and my birthday is July 17th, which is the same day as this Cancer new moon. So much for me trying to ignore spirit. That felt like confirmation around, okay, there must be someone out there who really needs to hear this information. Perhaps it's you. If you are familiar with my new moon and full moon forecast, I typically do one every single new or full moon. I am currently on sabbatical, so I've been a little inconsistent with my regularly scheduled content, but that will go back to normal starting in August. And typically when I do these new moon and full moon forecasts, I go very in depth. Like I typically am filming for 4 or 5 hours. That will not be possible today because I cannot film when the AC is on because it's very, very loud and I'm very hot. So we're gonna have to keep this Gemini midheaven together and make sure that I'm not talking for 4 or 5 hours. It will not be my typical layer of depth. So I do apologize. I am so sorry, but it's honestly so fun to be able to sit down. I'm feeling so inspired just from my time of being in New York City. And I'm so inspired to talk about this particular Cancer new moon. And to be quite honest, spirit kind of bullied me to being here on this green velvet couch talking about the Cancer new moon. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the Cancer new moon, July 17th, 2023. So the Cancer new moon lands on July 17th, 2023. It will land exactly at 11:32 a.m. PDT. Please note that when it comes to the Cancer new moon ritual, which we will talk about later in the video, I don't want you to feel like you can only do it at 11:32 a.m. PDT on July 17th. The new moon window is active for 3 days after that point, and I do recommend doing your new moon ritual either right at that time or within that 3-day window after. Allow you to really have that fresh start rather than being on the waning side of the moon, which would be shortly before. So this new moon lands at 24 degrees Cancer. So as we briefly talked about, Cancer is the domains of life that are very private, that are very sacred. It's about the emotions. And it really makes me feel called to share with you a quote that significantly shifted my life. This came into my awareness when the North Node was in Cancer, South Node was in Capricorn. And that is the quote, "The root of all ambition is to be happy at home." I feel this captures the essence of this new moon because, again, we can want the glossy, high-powered magazine job. We can want the relationship with somebody who's super dreamy. We can want that red Ferrari, what have you. But at the end of the day, if you cannot sit at home and feel fulfilled with yourself, it will never be enough. You'll want the blue Ferrari. You'll want a different sort of relationship. You'll want to continue moving up. The very crux of being a human is to constantly be wanting and desiring and chasing. But the essence of this new moon isn't about getting so focused and obsessed. And I do mean obsessed because it opposes Pluto. We'll talk about that. I would recommend during this new moon to not get so obsessed on the literal, tangible manifestations of what it is that you think that you want. I want you to focus on the emotion that you are truly hoping to get to. How do you want to feel when you come home for that magazine job? How do you want to feel when you're presenting in front of your coworkers? How do you want to feel within your relationship? That is what's the most magnetic at this time. And it's not the time to be like this or bust. Now, I do believe we live in this magical world and you can co-create your desires. But the question with this new moon is, do you really want what you think you want? Things never feel the same when you get there. So it's really an ask around how can you cultivate that emotion that you want here and now to be a vibrational match to pulling it in. And the thing is, the universe knows your heart, your soul, your talents, everything about you so much more than you do. I know that seems silly, but truly, it knows your potential, it knows your strengths. So oftentimes when we are so focused around this, I want this, universe is like, no, like the red Ferrari would not be a match for you in 2 years because you're going to move cross country with your lover and live in an RV or who knows what's gonna go down, right? Universe does, okay? So it's less so about honing in on around, I will only be happy when I get the red Ferrari. I will only be happy when I am in this relationship with this particular person. This is not a new moon to get obsessed with the details. It's a new moon to get obsessed with the feeling and cultivating it here and now, maybe in micro ways. I'm not saying you need to go like test drive a Ferrari in order to unlock that energy or hire an actor who will play your, lover or go to a movie set and pretend that you're a magazine editor. I'm not saying you have to act it out in that ways. I'm just saying, how can you get to that emotion that you're wanting to feel? How can you cultivate that energy of fulfillment here and now? How can you cultivate that energy of safety here and now? How can you cultivate that energy, that emotion of freedom here and now, and perhaps in micro ways? Because I'm telling you, that's when you get a vibrational match to what it is that you really want, which is the emotion attached to it. Because who knows, maybe you think driving down the highway in that Ferrari would allow you to feel free, but you can just feel bogged down by a whole new sets of challenges around interesting repair, interesting maintenance that you weren't necessarily anticipating. And now you feel stuck, this major payment, and you're like, this was meant to make me feel free, but I've never felt so stuck. That's what I'm saying. Cultivate the emotion here and now. Be sure on the emotion that you want to feel, but be flexible about the opening. That's whenever we talk about manifestation. I know people do feel differently about this, but it is my belief that it's not very ethical to strive to manifest somebody particularly, right? Because the thing is, the universe knows your particular match, and just honing in on what it is that you want to feel within that connection, what it is that you want to cultivate within that connection, the universe is able to send you somebody who will be a match to that vibration, because you might not have all the tea on that particular person, and they might not be able to give you that feeling of safety once you learn more about them. Again, this is not a new moon to zero in on the stuff and be like, if it's not this, it's nothing. Being sure on the emotion that you want to call in, but being open on how it is that you are striving to get there. I deeply recommend, we'll talk about this more during the Cancer New Moon ritual portion, but I want to let you know, I would bucket some time during these 3 days to do something that gets you closer to that emotion. I'm not saying it's easy to necessarily jump up the emotional vibration scale all the way to bliss and actualization. It's sometimes not so easy, but I would say around this Cancer New Moon, strive to do things that will get you at least somewhat closer to that emotion that you want to feel. If you want freedom, do something that makes you feel free. Go bike riding. If you want fulfillment, do something that makes you feel fulfilled. If you want safety, do something or spend time with people who allow you to feel safe, or cultivate it within yourself. As I highlighted, when we are chasing and being very, very obsessive about things, sometimes we can repel it away from us, because again, we're in that desiring, we're in that craving. I will only be happy when I have this, versus the way that we tap into becoming a true match is by cultivating it here and now, and we can attract. That's what this new moon is about. Not chasing, attracting. And I say that because this new moon opposes Pluto. So there is an obsessive energy about this new moon, and I'll be totally forthright with you. Some intense emotions could have been coming to the surface. I mean, let's be real, everybody. We are in Cancer season. Cancer season feels some stuff, okay? They feel a lot. So if your emotions have been feeling very topsy-turvy, very up and down, especially before the new moon when we're kind of closing up the cycles, I want you to embrace all of that. I want you to know contrast can bring clarity, okay? The contrast of what it is that you don't want to feel can bring clarity around what it is that you do want to feel. That's why sometimes jobs that don't work out, relationships that don't work out, they can be so helpful because again, that contrast around, oh, I thought I wanted that, and that is not what I want, it begins to clarify that soulmate, that dream job, that dream car, even more so. And so I want you to know emotions can be the same way around if there has been a lot coming to the surface, particularly before the new moon, it can be signaling a fresh new beginning happening for you. And with the energy of the opposition to Pluto, there can be this energy around my happiness will elude me until I have this particular thing. Pluto's very tunnel vision sort of energy. This is coming from somebody who's very, very Plutonian, okay? It's a very obsessive energy. It's very, if I can't have this, I want nothing. And while that can be coming from Plutonian, typically I do get what it is that I obsess about. But I have noticed that it never feels how I thought it would feel. And just a brand new obsession emerges. And I'm just constantly in this search around looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that's not necessarily conducive for the emotions I want to cultivate, which is peace, which is joy, which is contentment. Pluto energy can be very cyclical in that it can make us crave more and more, next thing, next thing, next thing. It could be very, very obsessive. It's very tunnel vision sort of energy. It's the sort of energy in which you could be observing within yourself that you are obsessed with a specific result around, I want a relationship with this specific person. I want to work at this specific magazine or what have you. And there's some sirens. Obviously, I'm in New York City, so that's bound to happen. But it makes me feel like it's important to express to someone out there, like Pluto is also the energy of death and rebirth. And the thing about when we get obsessed like that around, I need to make this person mine, or I need to work at this particular job, it can feel like a life or death scenario. It can truly feel that intense because we have essentially attached our entire happiness, our entire fulfillment is hinged on this particular result. And that's what's dangerous about harsh aspects to Pluto, is that it's not so much about the thing. I guarantee if you get that particular person, you get that particular job, a new, essentially, diversion will pop up around, well, okay, you got that, but this is the aspect of your life that you aren't happy with. This is what it would take to make you feel happy. It's almost like, I've been reading a lot of tarot, so I apologize, but for anybody else who reads tarot, it's like Seven of Cups energy. It's very deceptive in its strategy. It's just basically looking for reasons around why we're not happy and essentially sending us on this fool's errand around, well, this is the reason why. If you search for this, if you want this, then you'll be happy, then you'll be happy, then you'll be happy. When it comes to the adage, be careful what you wish for, that's very true with Pluto energy. Because when you get obsessed with something, like oftentimes you can't get it, but it won't exactly manifest how you thought that it would. It won't feel like you thought that it would. Or once you get there, now a new goal or desire emerges. Again, it's hinging something as delicate and as important as your happiness and your well-being and your growth upon stuff, upon external results. Like the universe has a bigger plan for you. And a lot of times when we get so obsessed with something, and a particular external result, again, I do believe we live in a magical world. I'm not saying you can't have what it is that you want right now. But what I'm saying is this new moon, it's important to understand your happiness does not hinge upon it, okay? Your happiness is not dependent on whether or not this particular crush becomes your spouse. Your happiness is not dependent upon whether you will be able to earn enough money to have that Ferrari. Your happiness does not depend upon getting this particular job, okay? That is not the end all be all. And the thing about Pluto is it can make it feel like an end all be all, life or death sort of situation. Because that happiness that you're looking for, we are sold a lie that it's tied up within flashy belongings and within status symbols and all of these things, which we hear this, but like, do you really hear it? Do you really understand how simple happiness and fulfillment and contentment can be when we stop searching so much for it? When we cultivate that energy of what it is that we're looking for within ourselves. I'm sure a lot of you had this experience as well, in that whenever you stop looking for something is when you find it, right? Because you're no longer in that energy around chasing and obsessing. Like sometimes I lose things and you can't find it when you're like running all around freaking out. It's only when you forgot, right? And an hour later you're like, oh, here's my ID. Oh my gosh, it popped up. And also when it comes to relationships, friendships, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I've found that I tend to get into relationships during the times when I'm like not worried about them, when I'm just having fun, doing my own thing, right? Not in the times that I'm like, I need a partner or what have you. Because again, it's putting into that chasing energy rather than just attracting what it is that you truly desire, right? Not necessarily what you think is going to bring you the emotion, but what will genuinely will, right? And so whatever you are trying to manifest or bring into existence with this new moon, focus on the feeling. Focus on the feeling that you want to feel and pour into yourself. If you want love, take yourself on a date, okay? Take yourself on a date that you would want someone to take you on. If you want a dream home, focus upon the sort of activities that you would do in the dream home. Like, would you garden? If you can get a small potted plant within your home here and now, right? It's all about essentially finding little ways to nourish the true feeling that you want to cultivate, and trusting in the universe to bring you the events, the people, the belongings that are in a vibrational match. And I say that because this new moon trines Neptune, and Neptune is spirituality, it's synchronicity, it's things that are magic. So the essence of this new moon is that magic can happen when we get out of our own way. Magic can happen when we stop thinking that the only way we can unlock that bliss and joy is attached to these very specific results. Because that's just kind of how our mind works. It wants to attach particular things to it. Like if you're somebody who also sometimes gets really anxious about things and you're like, why am I anxious? You're looking for something to pin it on. Like our mind wants reason. Our mind wants logic. So sometimes when we aren't satisfied with our life, we'll look for very specific reasons why around this is why, or this is why, or this is why. And the biggest part of this new moon is that you can become a vibrational match to what it is that you want by not necessarily feeding it as much energy, the necessarily physical components of it, the specifics of it. It's more around cultivating the emotion attached to it and really getting to the root of your desires, truly. Now, the fascinating thing about this new moon is that it happens, as I highlighted, on the same day as the nodes shifting, and the nodes are involved in this new moon. And you may find that this is a bit of a callback to the Aries solar eclipse that happened in spring 2023. I do have a video on that if you want to reminisce on the story that is kind of building. I also have an Aries North Node video if you want to look into that, because that's a major transit that we're walking into. But it's interesting that it's happening on the same day as this Cancer new moon, and essentially this new moon is bending the nodes. And when it comes to this new moon, it is a new start. And with the North Node and Aries energy, it's really a time to be able to initiate. It's really an energy around being self-sufficient. And it's also this energy around understanding that you do have the power to cultivate the emotions of what it is that you want to feel, and to cultivate the home that you want to build, and cultivate the family that you want to create, or the people in your life that feel like family. With the North Node and Aries squaring this new moon, it's really this energy around taking your happiness into your own hands and not waiting for life to happen, striving to make it happen here and now. You may not have every little thing that you want. That is just your mind trying to attach to reasons around why you do not feel happy and fulfilled. And what I want you to understand is that that happiness and that fulfillment that you are chasing, it's within you. Okay, it's within you. And I don't want to be somebody who's, like privileged enough to have a camera, and I'm currently in New York City, being like, all you need is yourself to be happy. We're here to connect. We're here to have relationships. We're here to have experiences. We're here to have belongings and be human beings. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying here is that if you are somebody where there is just constantly the cycle around, well, this is why I'm not happy, and this is why I'm not happy, this energy to take the power into your own hands with North Node Aries around, what am I waiting to have happen? And how can I take charge of this? Am I waiting for other people to give me what it is that I want, and I'm waiting for the circumstances to align perfectly? Like North Node Aries, we are going to be asked to step up, to be more assertive, and to be more comfortable with our own instincts and our own desires. I know that advice, that happiness is within you. I know that's so frustrating to hear, especially if you're moving through something. I'm not saying you have to act like you are happy. All I'm saying is with the North Node in Aries, it is around how can I take charge of my own life? How can I stop waiting on this relationship to allow me to feel safe within my own life? How can I stop waiting to feel fulfilled until I work for this particular place? How can I stop waiting to feel fulfilled until I have this particular belonging? How can I take charge and cultivate that here and now? What are the activities? And what does success look like to me? We talked about that a lot last week's, or rather 2 weeks ago, the Capricorn full moon, around what is my big picture? Because that's going to look different. And I want you to divorce what it is that capitalism in this world has sold to you of success, and I want you to get closer to what is your version of success. What would your home feel like? What would being in your family feel like? What would your soul feel like? How will you know that you have arrived to your dreams once you get there? How will you know that you can create a home and feel safe within this particular era of your life, that it's safe for you to no longer struggle and effort feeling that your happiness is dependent upon it? It's asking for you to ground down into nurturing the ways that you can facilitate your own joy within the here and now, and being willing to reach for it, and being willing to let go of appearances. That feels important with South Node Libra, around how things are perceived by others and how things look. You might get some weird looks when you tell the rest of your lawyer friends that you are downsizing and opting for a more simple life, but that is your version of happiness, and it's okay to let other people down. It's not their life, it's not their chart, it's not their desires, it's not their joy. I think with the energy of South Node Libra, it's not that everybody will be breaking up, but I do think that during this transit as a whole, a lot of relationships that are anchored in appearances and things that are shallow, and again, I'm talking about the shadow side of Libra energy. Okay, I'm not shading any Libras. I do think those are the relationships that are going to disintegrate during this time. And with North Node Aries, no longer being fearful of life, I think, is the essence here. No longer being fearful to facilitate your own happiness, to go after what it is that will bring you joy, even if that looks different than what other people want, even if that involves being single in order to find your personal fulfillment, your personal big picture, whatever it looks like. It's taking it into your own hands and not being afraid to facilitate and start things in order to get to that. Maybe for you, you'll know you've made it when you're at home and you're looking forward to going to work the next day because you have so many creative ideas, right? Maybe you'll know that you've made it when you are wrapping up a day at work and you get to be in this cool new city because you've built a life in which you get to travel as a career. Maybe you'll know you've made it when you hear that your work reached somebody else. We all have different versions of our pinnacle success. And it's not so much about the external, it's around how is it that you want to feel at that job, within that family, within these desires. And how can you cultivate that here and now in order to bring that towards you? And how can you trust yourself as the care and keeper of your own happiness, of your own joy, with the energy of North Node in Aries? And I want you to know your joy is your own. Your life is your own, your peace is your own, and it's okay to make the decisions that will contribute to your own personal fulfillment. And it could look different to others. We feel that with South Node in Libra, again, letting go of other people's opinions of us or being overly attached to appearance in order to embrace the raw, instinctual way of living embodied by the North Node Aries energy. And I find it fascinating because one of the reasons why Spirit was literally bullying me, not to be shady, but I did feel a little bullied to sit down and film this today. But a huge part of what was coming through of while I was feeling so called to sit down was basically Spirit really had it on my heart to just communicate to someone out there to stop chasing, to let happiness find you. You don't need to chase it. And also this interesting energy around, oftentimes we can think we're running to our desires around chasing after this job, chasing after this relationship. But I also feel it's equally important to inform some of you that some of you may think that you're running towards something, running towards that job, towards that career, towards that relationship, towards that car. But some of you have been running away from something. And we see this with the new moon square to Chiron, which is the comet of the wounded healer, which is around wherever within our journey has made us feel inadequate, not enough. And that's where that chasing comes from, around as soon as I do this, then I'll feel enough, then I'll feel good with myself, right? And we can think, well, I'm just putting in a lot of hours because of this particular job, or I'll be happy once I have this relationship. But I do want you to sit with that. Am I running towards this, or am I trying to run away from those emotions, from that healing that I don't want to feel? And with the new moon in Cancer, I also feel equally important to tell you that with this new moon, there's a fertile new start around creating a home within your own being. Really dedicating yourself to true self-care, which is really taking care of your emotions. And for some of you, having a new start as it relates to your healing journey, no longer running away from it, facing it, and creating a home within yourself that you're allowing those uncomfortable emotions or whatever needs to come to the surface to come up, because you're not in that energy of chasing and trying to run away from it, right? Thinking this will fix it, this will heal me. This new moon is about understanding it is in my hands, and yes, sitting with where it is that I'm wounded, where it is that I'm hurting. That's the square to Chiron. Yes, it does hurt. And the essence of Cancer, it's not just about good emotions. It's about the full spectrum of emotions. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is constantly waxing and waning. It's very changeable, right? It exists sometimes new, sometimes full. It varies in its lightness, and every single phase is necessary as it relates to the moon, as it relates to your emotions. So like I said, your emotions are data during this new moon. If possible, strive to encourage the emotions that you want to feel. But yes, some uncomfy ones can emerge. Some aspects of you that are in need of healing can emerge. But again, rather than just planting seeds around, well, I just need this car, I just need this relationship, I just need this job, I just need to take better care of myself. I just need to nourish myself. I just need to feel what part of me is hurting. I just feel that important to communicate to a couple of you. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it into Cancer new moon rituals. So I want you to know, first and foremost, that the essence of Cancer is all about what is sacred. It has to do with the roots, it has to do with the past. And when I share these ritual suggestions, it's never me saying this is the only way to do it. I simply share this just to give you some ideas based on the astrological significance of this particular new moon. But of course, as it relates to Cancer, it has to do with our roots, where it is that we come from. So culturally, you may have certain practices, and I want you to honor that, as well as just intuitively what it is that you feel drawn to. You can make up your own ritual. You don't need other people to tell you what is right for you. And that extends beyond rituals. That extends into many other arenas of our life, especially with the North Node Aries transit. I simply share this just to get your wheels turning. So the energy of Cancer has to do with home. So yes, manifestations as relation to our residence, as it relates to our physical home, are supported during this time. So it is my recommendation that you do a ritual at home. If you're like me and you're traveling, that's totally okay. But I would say it is important to do it in a more sacred environment, or somewhere that you do feel comfortable. And I would deeply recommend doing a house blessing, really focusing on the emotions that you want to cultivate within your physical abode, right? So whether it's honing in on, I really want a garden, so I'm going to bring in certain potted plants because that's the energy I want to honor, but also around, why do I want a garden? Oh, I want the feelings of feeling more connected to nature when I'm home, right? How can I support that here and now? Yes, some of you will be manifesting a new home, a new abode, a new roommate, anything connected to a living situation that you want to improve. This new moon is beautiful for, but I also want you to empower yourself, even if you're still in your lease for like 6 months, contemplate ways that you can bring what it is that you want into your existence. Maybe some potted plants will allow you to get to that feeling that you want to feel of feeling more connected to nature faster. Maybe if you want to feel more at home and at ease when you are in your physical abode, maybe you can move your work stuff out of your bedroom. Like again, sometimes there could be little shifts in order to support that emotion, but I would definitely say a house blessing or something of the nature, and really honing in on the emotions that you want to honor within your physical abode are very powerful. If you do want to manifest a new place to live with the trine to Neptune, I will say it would be supportive to see it as though you are seeing it on a movie screen. But like I said with this Cancer new moon, it's important not to get too obsessed with something particular, okay? The energy of Pluto can also be about power. So again, this is a powerful new moon, hence why I found it important, or rather Spirit nudged me to come talk to you guys about it. But this is a powerful new moon, but I don't want you to necessarily see it like it's playing on a movie and be so stuck on it needs to be this particular house, okay? Be certain on the emotion that you want to feel, but be open on the ways that spirit can deliver that to you. So definitely make a vision board of the sort of abode that you would want to live in, but be open. It might be in a different city than you imagined. It might have a wraparound porch rather than the initial really sleek and modern aesthetic that you had in mind. But again, universe knows you, sometimes even better than we know ourselves. Universe knows you, your true desires, your path, where it is that it's going. So trusting in that. Like, yes, meet it halfway by honing in on the emotions and the things that you think would get it closer to those particular emotions around, it would make me happy to live this amount of distance from a beach, or what have you. But be open, be flexible. That's the ask when it relates to this new moon. So some sort of vision board, seeing your physical abode as though it's playing on a movie. It's not necessarily just focused to home. Honestly, it can be extended to just about anything so long as it's rooted within the emotions that you want to feel. Make this new moon incredibly supportive. Cancer also has to do with family, roots, ancestry. So this can be very supportive to hone in on improving the family that you have, or honing in on the family that you want to create, certain traditions that you want to uphold, perhaps more boundaries as it relates to family members that you want to be sure to honor. Those are supportive as well. And some other ways that you can celebrate. So Cancer is a water sign. So it would be incredibly supportive during this new moon to work with water in any sort of format, whether that is working with fountains. You can take a bath with crystals or with salts and really just aim to charge the water with the emotion that you want to feel, and just see yourself bathing in joy, bathing in happiness, bathing in love. Whatever it is that you want to come in would be very supportive. Even getting a glass of water and charging in the emotions that you want to feel while taking a sip can be very supportive. This can be an energy around revisiting the past. So perhaps you feel at this particular moment of your life, joy and bliss feel very out of reach, but you know it's possible for you because you felt joyful before. This can be a powerful time to sort of revisit past versions of yourself and to ask, what were their practices? How were they disciplined in being cultivators of their own joy? How can I encourage some of that within my present in order to care and keep for every aspect of my well-being? And you are not necessarily limited when it relates to this new moon to just positive emotions. A lot may come to the surface. It's opposing Pluto. There can be certain things that you're moving through that feel out of control or out of your hands. There's a lot happening astrologically. Of course, I'll talk about it in Magic Monday. So I'm not saying this entire new moon, it's like joy and bliss. I want you to cultivate that. I want you to find that. And I want that to be your safe harbor so that when things feel unsteady, when things feel shaky, you know you can care and keep for your joy. You know that it does not hinge upon particular external results. It's around really cultivating that safe harbor within your own soul, really being fierce in protecting your own happiness. Perhaps for some of you, there's an essence around boundaries with this new moon, which is interesting. Cancer is represented by the crab. Crab has an exoskeleton. So for some of you, there's this energy around being a little bit more fierce and protecting your joy and protecting the sacred aspects of your life. Honor that. And again, it's really around honoring that sacred part of you and on all of your depths, and allowing that to be a rock, allowing yourself to be a rock for yourself. Even if things feel a little shaky and feel a little unsteady, get off the loop around feeling like, well, this will make me happy, and this will make me happy, and this will make me happy, because again, it just puts you into that energy, that cycle around wanting, craving, desiring. And as I highlighted, the best recommendation that I have with this new moon is really nourishing the feelings that you want to feel, okay? On the day, on the next day, you can use this new moon. Like I said, it's fertile, it's lush. Jupiter exalts in Cancer, right? This is a very dreamy new moon with the trine to Neptune, and it's very powerful being involved in a grand cross with the nodes. We're going to feel a little stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think that's part of this uncomfortable astrology with Pluto squaring the nodes. Again, we're moving into transformation and you might not totally feel ready for it, but with the energy of Cancer and new moon, how can you create a home within yourself so that even if you have a tower moment or things fall apart, at the end of the day, you still have that contentment within you, or that joy within you, which is why we talk about how risky it is with Pluto energy hinging our entire happiness on external things, because those can be taken away in an instant. And the ask with the Cancer new moon is, how is it that we can support the healing that we want, the emotions that we want in the here and now, and be able to cultivate that within ourselves, to pull in the right things as we're ready for it, but to also understand that we're good without it, right? And so with this Cancer new moon, the big pieces that I would hone in on is home. It might be powerful to be around family or something of that nature, if that is something that you are focusing on, as well as just cultivating the home that you want to create. Spend time with your family. Do things that fill you up, okay? Do things that allow you to feel that joy. That is what's going to be the most magnetic during this new moon, okay? You don't necessarily need to write about it and all of these things. Like, yes, the trine to Neptune, maybe see it within your mind's eye, what it is that you think would contribute to your happiness. But my goodness, is it not the most powerful at this time to just try to tap into that feeling as much as possible? Perhaps visualizing it allows you to stir up that emotion, but I'm telling you, the more that you can feel into that joy you want to feel, that bliss you want to feel, that home feeling you want to feel, that safety you want to feel, the more magnetic you are to pull that towards you. So just bucketing some time within the 3 days to do things that will allow you to get there. Maybe you're like, Haley Comet, I can't afford the Ferrari. That's okay, ride your bike. Maybe you're like, Haley Comet, I don't have my dream lover who makes me feel safety. That's okay, spend time with the friends who allow you to feel safe and at ease, or the pets that allow you to feel safe at ease, or do things that support the relationship with yourself to feel safe or at ease. Yes, you can think about the dream job, but really hone in on, how can I do things that make me feel fulfilled and satisfied and creative within the here and now? I'm telling you, the more you can tap into these emotions and disengage from the specific result, the funny thing is, the more that specific result will come into alignment for you, because you're a match for it. It's about attracting rather than chasing, and it's about really just taking ownership of feeling what it is that you want to feel here and now, rather than feeling like that emotion is linked to these particular results that they are not. So if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I typically do go very, very in depth on every single rising sign around what is building within your chart. Due to temperature regulation and a New York City summer, I am simply not able to do that at this time. I do apologize. Regular new moon and full moon forecasts will be coming back into effect by August, so apologize for that. So my loves, I am hoping that this forecast reached exactly who it was meant to. It felt to be a very important time to check in with you all, simply because this is happening on such a pivotal day, really astrologically, around this brand new journey setting off with North Node Aries, around taking our life into our own hands, around being able to assert the conditions that will promote our own happiness, not waiting on other people to give it to us. Understanding that it's okay to be a little impatient. Like, that's really the essence of this Cancer new moon. Like, why would I wait for this job or this relationship to bring me the joy that I want when I can just facilitate and create that joy right here, right now? Like, channel that North Node Aries energy. Get impatient about your joy is really the ask here. So I hope that you can tap into the potent, lush, fertile, happy new beginning of this Cancer new moon, this ask to prioritize your healing journey here and now, and to no longer chase, whether you're running after something, running away from something. It's about attracting. It's about doing what it is that will pour into yourself, that joy you want to feel, that happiness, that bliss that you want to feel within here and now, and allowing yourself to be a vibrational match to what will continue to pour into your joy. So I'd love to hear how you're going to celebrate this Cancer new moon. And just one more time, I just want to apologize for the departure of typical content. It's kind of fun traveling. I've just gotten to be around so many different environments, see so many different things. I've gone to poetry slams, museum openings, and concerts and comedy shows and live readings. Like, I just feel so inspired. So I just felt inspired to take a different approach to the typical forecast. So I'd love to hear any feedback if it does come in, but my content probably won't stay like this. We'll just think of this as my fun little on the road. on the road check-in, cosmic check-in. So I'd love to connect with you all. My Instagram handle is at Haley Comet Astrology. My TikTok is the same. Just a quick reminder that I am on sabbatical, so I am being a little bit more slow as it relates to DMs and emails. I promise it is nothing personal. I will absolutely get back to you right away. I'm just moving through some 12th house energy. I'm traveling. You have to be really present in New York City. You cannot be on your phone. You have to be very aware of your surroundings, just getting on the right subway and whatnot. So it's made me be much more present, but it's made me feel much more inspired. But I'm just simply not as online as I typically am. But I promise to you, if you've been reaching out to me, I will get back to you ASAP. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.